Hey everybody, it's Miranda here, and I have got a technique to share with you guys using Shimmerz and I guess it's like double embossing. I'd seen something on Pinterest, and for the life of me I could not find it, so I just kind of started playing around and trying to recreate what I thought I had seen, and I don't know if this is exactly the same, but it's a really cool technique. I'm playing around right now with just doing it with some darker colors. I tried white embossing ink here and then clear embossing ink here, and you can see the difference. I'm a fan of the white over the others, but I'm going to show y'all today in a brighter color just to see what it will look like, you know, brighter. So what you're going to need is, I'm going to be doing a canvas, so I'm taking a 6x6 sheet of paper, whatever size you need for whatever project you're working on. Just get that out and just pick an embossing folder from your stash, whichever one you want to use. I'm using my Tim Holtz one, and just run your paper through your embossing folder. And I'll probably have to do this twice because the folder's not quite 6x6, it's like 4x6, so I'm just going to run it through here twice to get all of my paper embossed. But yeah, definitely I tried it with a couple of different kinds of papers, and I think that a neutral color paper is definitely your best bet. Okay. And let me do the other side now. And actually, now that I think about it, it would probably be better to cut it a little bit bigger, maybe like 6.5 by 6.5. That way, after you get it done, you can cut it down to size and you'll have nice finished edges. So, on second thought, do like 6.5 by 6.5. Okay, so let me move this out of the way. So the double embossing is, you know, we dry embossed it, and now we are going to do some heat embossing, and excuse the glare, y'all, but it's really best for me to work on glass right now because it's messy with the embossing powder and stuff. So like I said, you can choose either clear embossing powder or white embossing powder, or heck, even a darker one if you guys want to. But you're just going to need some Versamark ink. My pad is like pretty well dry, but I think a more moist pad, a newer one, would work a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and open my white embossing powder and get it ready to go. You're just going to take it and lightly brush over it, kind of like if you were using a distress ink or something. And you can, you know, do a couple of passes, like put a little bit of ink on here now, and then go back in a minute and put more, which is what I'm going to do. And while I'm doing this, I'll go ahead and tell you the other supplies you're going to need. You're going to need a iron, or I guess a heating tool would possibly work as well, but I'm using an iron. I think it's much quicker and easier. And you're going to need some shimmer sprays in whatever colors you want to work on. And then you are going to need a little fine tipped paintbrush, because this is an imperfect method, and after we get the embossing powder on there, we're going to want to go in with that little paintbrush and get any of the parts of the embossing powder that went down into the recessed areas, because we just want it to hit the raised area basically. Okay, I just got one little section left. You can give it a good flick too, kind of helps to get all the excess off of there. So don't push down hard, because I've already pushed down a little bit too hard on the bottom there, and it's just a little too much embossing powder. That's just going to give myself extra work whenever this is done. So I'm going to do my last part here. Okay, that is good enough for me. And now that paintbrush is going to come into play, because what I'm going to do, and I'll start it on camera, but I'll finish it off because it's a little time consuming. Just let me give it a flick really quickly too, y'all. Alright, I'm going to go into all of my little areas, and let me zoom in so hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about. Like, here's your raised part. You want to go in with this paintbrush and get in all of the areas where there's any excess powder that's not on the raised part, you know. The more time you take with the first part, the less you'll have. I have quite a bit in between mine, and it just gives it a much cleaner look if you go ahead and get that off of there now. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, just blowing the excess off as I go. Not too bad, I guess. Kind of hold it up to the light and you can see exactly where it's at. I mean, you don't have to be perfect on here. I'm a fan of grunge, so imperfections are totally fine for me, but for the sake of this, I definitely want it to be pretty clean so it will come across clear on camera. So I'm going to speed it up now and go ahead and finish getting these off.